Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I said welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast with Andy Ruther and Joe Crano. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host from Los Angeles, California, Joey No Chill Prano.
Hello, Andy.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
That intro is so damn long.
Yeah, Judge. Randy Ruther keeps messaging me during every show, telling me how awkward it is while we sit there while the song plays.
No, no, not that. I'm talking like I've been doing this. We've been doing this. This is episode 937. I'm just talking like, hello everybody. I'm Andy Ruther. Coming to you live from like it's long. Like it's now a thing. It's been a thing for years. Yeah. It's long. Like, do you change it ever?
I think it's fine.
Okay.
Honestly, I think the extended Lenny Kravitz cover tune that opens our show is longer.
Well, I do that because the video on Spotify.
Yeah.
That's why I do that. Spotify's. I think on the Spotify
I think
yet?
in StreamYard there's a bumper. I think you can put on a bumper so that before we come on, there's maybe just like visuals of us. You know, maybe we have somebody do put together a little something that rolls. It's fine. I'm over here watching the end of the Mets game, so
I could do a bumper, and then we just go to. I'm sure I can.
Yeah,
I haven't examined StreamYard nearly enough, like I should. Oh, so that's Randy Ruther's hang up.
Yeah, he's like, you guys just sitting there awkwardly while the song plays.
That's hilarious. I love that. I'm like confused. It's when you brought him up. Like at this point, like there's nothing. Like it's just a picture of Justin. Like Randy. Like I saw it there. I was like, okay, it's a picture of Justin holding the Miller Lite, which again I have no problem with. I think it's great. But it's like Randy Ruther, and it still has the "All I Need in Life Is My White Carson Palmer Jersey" in a Who Day.
Yeah,
isn't it pretty like it's become one? Justin Wood and Randy Ruther have kind of morphed.
Yeah, he messages me all the time. He's like, Pereno. I'm like, Randy.
I have to disclose something. There have been times as far as texting him where I'm like, you put in the R, not the J for Justin. You know, for the name, you're like, oh yeah, his name is not actually Randy. Like, who would have thought just some drunken debacle of an idea, and he basically has an alter ego.
Yeah. I think you should legally change his middle name to Randy Ruther. One word like Ocho Cinco.
How much time do you think he spends in Bengals fan forums?
Probably a significant amount.
Like, do you find yourself doing that stuff?
Never.
Like never. Like you never go on like a Giants or like a Mets or a Knicks forum.
No, not at all. I do subscribe to a couple of Knicks related Substacks, Andy, now that I'm on Substack, so you can subscribe to me there. But yeah, but then like even that's just like reading, I'll read a newsletter. I obviously, on the Athletic or whatever, like you go on and you read articles, but no, I mean, fans talking about it. Oh, we should trade Julius Randle for Joel Embiid. It seems like he's done down there in Philly. I mean, they don't want him. Randle for Embiid. Who says yes? Who says no? Like, no. I don't need fan things.
But that's what I'm saying. Like the fan thing, that's a whole other. like it's almost like a whole other life for these people, or it is their life. Like the people who like hypothesize, would it be hypothesize? The people who are like constantly like, hey, what if we did this? Or what if we drafted this? Or what if we traded this? And I'm like, what? Like, dude, come on, man. Talk to your kids. Well, we have a confirmation from Randy. Great picture, by the way.
Look at that picture.
Look at that mug. Look at that good-looking
Wow.
man. Says,
What a
I stay
great-
away
what a
from
great
Bengals.
shot.
Yeah. He said he stays away from Bengals forums for the most part. It's bad. Yeah, I don't blame him. Smart move. You guys can do whatever you want, especially, I mean, if you're younger, like, you got the time.
He's like, I stay away from forums mostly, except for the one I run, the Randy Lair. Can I get a whoday.blogspot.com?
Like, the reason I bring that up, Joe Burrow, I don't know if you've seen this. He wore a headband to practice the other day.
Okay.
And, like, it just turned into such a thing. And his hair's a little longer. And it's like headband season. And everybody's going crazy. And the new Joe Burrow and blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, like, are we really putting this much into a headband? Yeah, people are. It's crazy, though. Like the sports world, and we'll get to some stuff later on with some of this TV stuff and where it's headed and where we all know it's headed. But and what happened last night with YouTube TV during the Celtics Heat game. But like, there's just so
What
many
happened?
avenues.
Did it go out?
Oh, you didn't see this?
No.
The last 8 minutes of the game, there was no YouTube TV.
Oh, that Chris Wilde was texting me about not having TNT on at the Wild Tiki Bar, and I was like, how did it just go out?
It was just TNT, and it was stuck on a Little Mermaid promotion.
Nice.
So like, it was like spinning. I'm talking like the final 8 minutes of the game, and people were, of course, losing their mind. Which sucks, but also it's funny. The conversation turned to.
Luckily, the people who would be triggered by the Little Mermaid ad are boycotting the NBA, so that's good. We avoided a real big firestorm.
Well, I don't, you know me, I don't pay attention to that stuff, Brando, but I know that people turned it to the NFL. So now the concern is like, Sunday Ticket's going to be here. You can't handle.
Oh, like fucking DirecTV doesn't go out in the rain.
Yeah.
Historically, I mean, I've had a million DirecTV, especially streaming TV fails with Sunday Ticket. I watch most of my cable related things now via DirecTV streaming app on Amazon Fire Stick, which, as I've talked about, is connected to my brother's DirecTV account, which means I get local New York shit. So like the news is New York local stuff. I get MSG, I get SNY, I get Yes. It's kind of great. It's a sad day that the only reason he has DirecTV is because of the Sunday Ticket. So I wonder how that's going to go. We'll probably I'll have to have, like I've talked about before, I might have to have a sit down with Mikey and discuss his best plan for TV moving forward and how it will affect all of us. At any point
you're just gonna buck up and do that?
Why? Just because?
Like I said, it's pretty amazing. There's no, like, for me, it's like you got to share. For me to give you mine, you got to give me something in return.
Yeah. That's the difference between like good families and bad families, I guess. And we're family. This is Fast and the Furious shit. Family first, It's all about family.
I've never seen a single Fast and Furious.
I only saw one. I saw the very first one in theaters with my brother Mikey. And he has seen, I would bet, at least 85% of them in theaters.
That's hilarious.
I walked out, I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. He was like, yeah, it's awesome.
Well, back to the TV discussion, I'm sure they got some serious heat from the NBA. Like the NBA, let's not forget the last how many finals, I don't know if they're doing it again this year, advertises YouTube TV on the fucking court, man.
Yeah.
So like they're in business together. That can't happen. And the reason I just bring this up, and then we'll obviously get to the actual games, I just read an article, and this is no shocker as well, that ESPN plans to stream their main channel. Eyeing cable TV's demise is the headline. And I just read it. And basically, guys, ESPN is going to be its own. It's just like everything else. You're going to pay to just, let's say you want that a la carte, you're just going to have to pay.
And there was talk of not talk, I guess the thing. One of the NFL playoff games this year will be exclusively streaming, correct?
Exclusively streaming on Peacock. They're paying $110.
Which let me just tell you, Andy, my sister told me she's watching Bupkis on Peacock, and I was like, all right, well, send me the Peacock login. And she was like, that's actually our friend Lexi's. I'll just send you hers. And I was like, great.
You guys have like
we're Italian, Andy. You know, this is how you fucking do it.
No, but it's funny. I know it's funny to me. Like it's almost, I don't know how I describe it. It's like a 6 degrees of passwords. Like Kevin Bacon of passwords.
Like I don't even think Lexi knows that I have her Peacock now. But also when I use Hulu, I use my sister's Hulu, and I go in and I see Lexi's name in there. I also see like Nicole, whoever the fuck Nicole is. I don't know. You know.
You guys have like your own community. It's a whole
people
thing.
Who care about each other. Yeah. I provide the Apple TV password for everybody.
See, no, so then you're on the same side as me.
Yeah. But also, I mean, I have Mikey's Direct TV that gives me access to like a million, it's Sunday Ticket. It's all the channels. It's whatever. It's HBO Max. It's Showtime.
Well, a lot of people were pissed about that. That's $110 million for one game. Think about that. $110 million for one game for Peacock. That means every NFL team is going to make over $3 million for one game, whether they're playing it or not. Like it's crazy to think. But what I found so interesting about this article about ESPN going to streaming only, which we all foresaw, they make most of their money through the current TV packages because, for people who don't know, basically the economics behind it, these networks or these providers, I should say, are paying in bulk to have ESPN. And here's what's crazy. Like ESPN is without a doubt the top dog of any channel in cable, whether it's traditional cable like a Spectrum or DirecTV or the new thing like a YouTube TV. Anyway, here's the numbers. ESPN gets $9.42 of the average cable TV bill. They're getting that chunk. The average for every other channel is 49 cents.
Wow.
So basically, not to bore you guys with all the numbers, even though I love this stuff, they're saying ESPN, that's going to throw off their whole business model. Because they're getting such a huge chunk, then suddenly they're going to have to rely on subscribers, which will be new. What will people pay? And they cite the MSG paid subscription. What's going on? I mean, it's $30 a month. That's what they decided. Are New Yorkers willing to pay $30 a month? What are people going to be willing to pay to watch sports on ESPN? I don't know. It's pretty crazy. Like we're already here, but it's also not surprising. So that's my Andy Ruther Wall Street Journal update to start the show.
Wall Street streaming sports update.
And we will have hockey correspondent Ryan Klatt will be on the show later.
It's great. It's getting hot in here. I'm going to take off my hoodie.
Yeah, you take off your hoodie. We should jump into some NBA. I just alluded to the Celtics Heat game. Once again, man, I'll tell you what. This Miami Heat team they're just never down. It doesn't matter if they have a shit half, a shit three quarters. Like,
well, I've been I've been slurping Eric Spoelstra all offseason, and it has to continue. I mean, you go into the half. What were they down? 10
12.
going into the half? 12. 12 going into the half. But that's where a good coach is, just make an adjustment. Once again in this series, a decided coaching advantage for the Heat. Joe Mazzulla has been bad at times in these playoffs. Spoelstra has been great. You go into a half, you're down 12. You come out, you score 4. What did they score? 46 in the third?
So they
50-point quarter.
So they outscored them. I stand corrected.
21, I think.
You're right. So they were down 10. So you were right. I was wrong. They weren't down 12. They were down 10 at half. In the third quarter, they put up 46. The Celtics only put up 25.
Like 25 isn't a great quarter by any means, but it's fine.
Sure.
46. That's just Boston, being unable to defend them, but also to come out and change your strategy and take advantage of Boston's randomly occurring lack of defensive prowess lately. Just is everything. And now game one, I believe they've won game one on the road in all 3 series, correct?
I think did they beat Milwaukee?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So they have, because they beat the Knicks. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's again, it's like you see that score or you see the halftime score, they completely flip the script. Butler ends up having a great second half. Total team effort.
And the Butler, the Jimmy Butler with this surrounding cast strategy is very LeBron James blueprint from those years in Cleveland. It's like surround him with shooters, have a couple of bigs. Bam's been great, but have a couple bigs and then surround him with shooters. And he's been great at facilitating those guys. He's also playing, I think, what do you have, 6 steals last night or something like that? Like, he's playing great defense. He's hitting the big shot. And yeah, they're, Boston really, like, as bad. Philly is a suspect team in general, obviously with their coach now gone. But they had a suspect coach. They had suspect stars, in my opinion. That the Joel Embiid not being able to show up night to night while also getting the MVP award will be something that I never understand. So they were a suspect team that took Boston to 7. Like, Boston is significantly more talented top to bottom than the Heat, but the Heat are going to win the series.
Like, you're already thinking that.
I think that. I think I'm more confident in the Heat winning right now than I am the Nuggets.
That's interesting. Okay. 1 game?
Yeah. 1 game in Boston as the 8th seed.
Yeah. Well, it does move the pressure, right? The pressure just suddenly moves on the Celtics.
In the West, there's this Nuggets team during the regular season was not good on the road. They had a losing record on the road. The Lakers in LA have had big games throughout the playoffs so far.
Undefeated.
So that's a series where if the Lakers were to steal a game in Denver, who knows if that will happen. But even if they don't, the idea of each home team wins their games, game 7, anything can happen. The Heat going to Boston in game 1 and winning, even if Boston comes back and has a great game 2, now you have to go to Miami with a team that is well coached, with veteran leadership, that does all the little things. Like, what I love about this Heat team, one of the little things is a fucking basketball nerd is just like all the ball fakes. Even when they don't fucking work and they're not effective, whatever you catch and you make a ball fake, to me, that just says you're being coached well, because that's something that comes natural to some guys because they were coached well growing up. And then that's something that's not natural to a lot of guys because they were just like, hey, man, I don't need to fucking ball fake. I'm a great talent. And, you know, I played AAU ball and you give me the ball and I score. Like elite players, they don't have to fuck with that. Like you watch the ball go around in Miami, guys catching the ball, a pass fake, a shot fake, then moving the ball, then dribbling. And to me, that's something that you're like, this team's working on fucking fundamentals.
Yeah.
As an NBA franchise, like you look at a Doc Rivers team, it's like, I don't think Doc Rivers has coached fundamentals maybe ever. Maybe he taught Austin Rivers fundamentals at one point.
Well, from the Celtics perspective, I think it's even worse when you blow a double-digit lead at home. You know, like a game you're in control. That's again, from the psychological standpoint, that's tough, man. You blow that, and now you know what Miami's done. But let's be honest, man. Miami, they've been in control the previous two series. That's the thing. Like these weren't, it's gonna like no one really thought they were ever losing control of either series. And until that happens, they're just keep playing. They just keep playing with house money.
In round one, obviously Giannis got hurt, but
sure,
they've also controlled the other team's stars to some degree. I mean, Brunson obviously played really well, but Julius Randle got absolutely fucking shut down. I mean, Jason Tatum coming out and scoring 2 points in the fucking second half, or made 2 shots in the second half, or whatever that fucking statistic was. Like, he just goes quiet. That's not going to happen. Jimmy Butler's not going to go quiet. Like, you're not going to contain him because he's facilitating and he's forcing the shot and he's going to get his. Jason Tatum, I mean, a guy that has a tendency to disappear from time to time, going up against a team that finds your weakness and exposes it. It's crazy, but Jimmy Butler's the best player in the series.
Oh, without a doubt. I wouldn't even question it, to be honest.
Right.
Again, with both sides of the ball, like I wouldn't question him versus Tatum. I mean, I don't think people realize he's having like an all-time playoff. I mean, he's having a great, as far as all around, he's having a phenomenal playoff, and he does it all the time. It's I don't know. It's one of the most undervalued playoffs, and also like players when it comes to the playoffs.
But it's an especially great performance because of how it exists within Heat culture as it's become a thing, you know, whether it's Riley or Spoelstra or just whatever. It's like the Heat just play their game, and then Jimmy can kind of do what he wants within it. Like if he just decides, hey, I'm going to go get a couple buckets, it just like works. It never feels especially forced. And it never feels like it's taking away from other guys when he's doing it. It's like, that's the great, you know, we always talk about LeBron James, like the guy who leads the NBA historically in scoring is a pass first guy. But even with LeBron historically, it's almost like sometimes you have to go, oh, we're going to go into LeBron fucking robot mode where he's just going to take over games. Like Jimmy Butler, like he takes over games like in spurts and then just like sits in the corner for a little bit and then takes over the game in spurts. And like, it's almost like whenever they need a big bucket, like he goes and gets it. But it all kind of works. Like you never really feel like it's stopping them from doing what they want to do naturally to then let Jimmy Butler do what he wants to do.
Yeah. I mean, look, obviously I'm rooting for the Lakers. I'd love to see Jimmy Butler get a title, though. I don't think it'll happen this year. Who knows though? But like, if he got a title with this squad, again, I'm just trying to look big picture all the time. If he got a title with this squad, as far as where it elevates him all time, is a very interesting discussion for me.
Well, I don't really know that there's like, I mean, I really think the only elevation to Jimmy Butler or not Jimmy Butler is like, can he do something that'll get him into the Hall of Fame? Because the conversation about like where he ranks all time, like Jimmy Butler, unless this is the beginning of like some 5-year Jimmy Butler run, he's not cracking like the top 25 guys of all time. And after that, like, what the fuck does it matter?
I'm not saying he is, but like, I'm just trying to think of a comparison previously in the NBA or maybe cross sports, what he manages to do, turning it on in the postseason. I'm trying to think previous NBA. I know you're going to say Eli Manning. I
didn't say anything.
Because you're smiling.
I'm just saying a guy who's a fucking wholly different thing in the playoffs. Because it is. I mean, basketball and football are not close to the same. But I think the comparison there is Jimmy Butler's always been this guy. It's not like he hasn't had the talent. It's what's the circumstance? What's the situation? Like, oh, Jimmy Butler flourished in Miami. Like he found his full form in Miami. He didn't find it in Minnesota or Philadelphia during the process with Ben Simmons. He didn't find it in Minnesota, one of the great black holes in sports, like professional sports all around. He didn't find it on like a weird Chicago team with like Joakim Noah and Derrick Rose. He found it in Miami. Shocker. But obviously Eli Manning was with the same franchise his whole time. But when they had pieces, when they had a good coach, when they were protecting him, suddenly we would have a couple of runs in the playoffs and go, and the conversation would be the same thing we're doing about Jimmy Butler now. We just don't use the word elite for basketball players. But you remember, is Eli Manning elite? It's like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like, can you imagine even saying that about Jimmy Butler right now? Is Jimmy Butler elite? Well, he's the best player in the Eastern Conference Finals.
But like previously in the NBA history, I'm just trying to, I don't have anybody off the top of my head.
I mean, kind of the closest thing is Kawhi, who kind of sleepwalks through seasons, has injury problems, whatever, made his name for himself in an NBA Finals, played deep, played both sides of the ball, hit some big shots.
Yeah.
Did it on the Spurs.
Who do you think the Heat have a better chance if they advance? What's a better matchup for them, Lakers or Nuggets?
Probably the Lakers.
Yeah.
Although I don't know, because I mean, it's probably the Lakers from like a talent standpoint. The thing about it'll be interesting to see, because it seems like the Lakers found a little something late. Now,
so everybody's talking about that.
Malone is like poo-pooing on that. Like, I don't even know why he's addressing that, but it feels like it's not even a matter of did they find something. To me, the only wild card in that question, if you were talking about it, is Spoelstra and Riley good enough to say we're going to throw something at Jokic that messes him up a little bit. Whereas you could say they would do that for Anthony Davis, but the truth is the coaching battle in a Nuggets Heat series is going to be Malone versus Spoelstra and Pat Riley's Emperor Palpatine, or essentially those guys versus LeBron. And also Darvin Ham's there. Like now we're having like a basketball genius off.
Yeah.
Right? Like Riley LeBron is some fucking, Queen's Gambit shit.
Well, a lot was made of that fourth quarter when the Lakers come back. They put Rui Hachimura on Jokic. And Jokic obviously slowed down. Jokic's stat line was amazing.
Yeah.
Right? Like he slowed down the fourth quarter, but he had just a phenomenal game.
But again, and this is going to be the case kind of going forward at this point with the Nuggets, is like they're the most talented team left by a long shot, in my opinion, with depth, with the having they have the best player left. They have probably the best depth left. They have a great home court advantage. They've got a great second player behind Jokic. They've got they're the most talented team. Boston's, pretty talented, but they don't go that deep. And also Boston has a coaching problem.
But here's my thing about the Lakers in that game. If you told me Anthony Davis is getting 40 points and they lose, that is not a good sign. I'd argue they have to win games. If Anthony Davis gets 40 and you lose, and you were losing the whole game by double digits, that's pretty terrifying. Right?
Yeah, but also we're now in a situation where it's not that Anthony Davis is getting 40 because the Warriors are super small and whatever. It's again, this is where depth comes into play. Jokic's stat line was fantastic, and Anthony Davis's stat line is fantastic. But what does that do? That cancels each other out?
Well, Jamal Murray's stat line was also fantastic.
Yeah,
or fantastic.
Exactly.
Fantastic. They had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys in double figures.
When you're talking about two teams that have a talent disparity like this, LeBron is going to do certain, first of all, we're talking about 38-year-old LeBron. So LeBron's only going to be able to do so much. He's going to have chunk moments. He's going to facilitate. He's going to coach. He's going to whatever. But when you have a talent disparity like this, if you have those 2 games from the big men, and then you have the Murray game, the Lakers need Austin Reeves to have a game. They need D'Angelo Russell to be hot for
But here's the thing. But that's what I want to get to. Austin Reeves had 23 points, dude. He was 5 and 9 from threes. He had a good game.
Yeah, and they lost by 3 in Denver.
Lost by 6, but yeah.
Yeah, but they were, it was a 3-point game.
No, for sure.
With a minute left.
No, I know. I don't know. I know it's one game.
Shout out to all the people, by the way. The NBA zigzag, the underdog. It was 6.5, and then obviously the Heat win. We are crushing this playoffs.
So fast forward to tonight. What we got here? What's this line at? It's 5.5.
Listen, I don't really love the Lakers' chances in Denver, but I'm rooting for the Lakers, but I almost feel like this is the way this series has to go. And not that it plays into the Lakers' hands by any means, but I think the scary thing is if you lose both games in Denver, we're at the point now where it's those first 2 games, when you're the road team, you almost feel like you have to take one. And you don't really have to, but it really feels like you do these days.
Well, if you don't, you obviously have to take the next two at home.
Right. But again, Denver's been bad on the road. But like, I don't really love the Lakers' chances in Denver. If the Lakers do win a game 2 in Denver, now like holy shit. Like if you're on the Lakers, you're fucking stoked. You're like, come home, beat a team that's bad on the road in a place where we haven't lost a game.
Yeah. Well, next game, not tonight, I'm sorry, but game 3 in LA, we're going to bring back a live commentary. Joe and I will be calling the game.
Like a throwback rabble.
Throwback rabble, which then we started doing on YouTube, which we'll do again. So hopefully the YouTube situation.
Things like Jared Goff and Mitchell Trubisky are medium pizzas.
Oh, yeah.
These are the kind of things that come out on the live.
Yeah. So mark your calendars, dirtballs. We will be live.
Will this be the first time we're calling a game in the crypto arena, in the building that is the crypto arena since Kobe Bryant shot challenge?
It's a good question. Probably. It will also be our first live, not sitting next to each other in the Smut Studio couch. So mark your calendars. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:30 Pacific. Saturday, Game 3, Lakers, Nuggets from, I want to say Staples Center. Not Staples Center anymore. What is it? Crypto what?
I believe it's the crypto.com arena.
The crypto.com arena. We'll be calling it.
The crypt.
Yeah. So we are excited about that. I'm going to have a little setup going on here. You might hear a baby crying in the background. Don't care. It's going live. Maybe I'll order a medium pizza from Domino's.
I promise I will not.
No?
No.
Maybe I'll get one from a local joint around here. But yeah, mark it down, guys. Subscribe and turn those noties on. Isn't that what the kids say? The noties?
I don't know. I am not a kid.
Well, I think Nick D'Alessandro used to say that. Turn on those notifications on YouTube. That way you can know.
Turn on those noties. So just in case you're out at Don's, you don't miss that the boys have gone live on the YT.
Oh, I love when he said Don's. That's an all-time. You remember where he said Don? Let's see how good your memory is.
Where he said it?
Do you remember where he said it?
No.
We were driving. What's that?
Costco?
We're driving from Albuquerque to Amarillo.
Oh, right on.
And he's like, let's stop.
Oh, the most faithful Don's run ever. Without that Don stop, I still believe I do the challenge. I believe I complete the challenge without that Don stop.
The challenge at the Big Texan?
Yeah.
What was that again? 72 ounces of steak.
That's right.
6 shrimp scampi, a salad, some rolls in an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when he coined the term Don. Oh, we stopping at Don's? I think. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure because you and I both were like, what? He's like, Don's. We're stopping at Don's.
We should have taken that as a sign and been like, not anymore. We'll just wait till we get to the Big Texan.
Well, I see we have our resident hockey correspondent, Ryan Klatt, waiting in the queue to hop in to fill us in on the wild and wacky NHL playoffs because there's been a lot happening here, Joe. And I can't wait for him to break it down for me because I don't know the seeding. I think the seeding is kind of similar to like the NBA where you have a lot of higher seeds making it far. So let's bring on Ryan here. Mr. Klatt, welcome back.
Hello, Andrew.
Coming in hot.
How's it going?
Ryan, are you just waking up from something now? This is what I heard. Were you doing an overnight or something?
Yeah, worked an overnighter last night, so I'm feeling good though. Like I'm a dad.
I don't even know where you work. Where are you coming from?
So I'm a freight train conductor.
Wow.
Dude, this is awesome.
That's the most old timey shit I've ever heard.
Oh yeah. Oh, can open, worms everywhere now. So yeah, that's what I do. I basically just ride on trains for a living.
Wow.
Why have we not
That's the
discussed
gig.
this?
Do you have to wear an old timey like conductor's hat?
You don't have to,
But you do?
Some guys do. I'm fine with my Jays hat, but some guys.
So what are you doing?
What kind of freight are you carrying?
Yeah, we forget hockey. You just opened it up, man.
Yeah.
This is the Dirty Train podcast now.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff.
It's too bad Chabelli's boycotting us. He'd be jacking off right now. He's like, oh, it's rail travel.
Oh, is he a foamer? That's what we call people who are obsessed with trains. They're foamers because they foam at the mouth when they see a train.
Wait, foamer? Like that's a thing?
Yeah, that's a term.
There's a guy like on fucking Instagram or TikTok or whatever who like fucking wears the guy I'm talking about, right, Ryan? He wears like a helmet fucking camera and he'll be like coming through this town today is this train, blah blah blah, and then he just starts like he literally like orgasms when like rare trains.
Oh, I think I have seen a clip or two of that guy.
He's like, oh my god, the RX-40 is coming through today.
So what are you doing as the conductor? What are you doing on the train? Break this down for me.
So the conductor, when you're on the train, that's we orchestrate music and you handle like the paperwork. You talk on the radio when you're riding the train, and then if you have to like set out cars or pick up cars, you're the one on the ground. You got your radio. You're talking to the engineer because obviously he can't see what's going on, so you have to count them down to cars and joints, and you're lining switches, doing handbrakes. And
now, as a Canadian freight, like I'm just assuming the train is just filled with like lumber and maple syrup and cattle. What else is on these freight trains?
That's it. You got all three. So.
I got all of them.
I know. Oil, like potash. I'm assuming you guys know what potash is.
Of course.
I have no clue.
Yeah. Oh God. Okay. We don't have to get into that.
He's like, oh, it's just Canadian for cereal.
Yeah, and then like sea cans, like containers carrying all sorts of goods for Walmart or whatever. Grain.
A lot of grain.
So, do you always work overnight?
No, not always. Like I rarely have a schedule like that. 2 weeks ago or whatever, I was on when I was on like a scheduled assignment, like that's kind of rare for me. So,
how often do you have to go into a car and clear it of hobos with little stick sacks?
Not yet, but
not yet.
It does happen. We get some riders here and there.
You do, so that's for real.
Yeah, I've actually never even seen one though. Even on other people's trains, like sometimes people say, "Yeah, I saw a rider on your train," just so you know. And
you ever have anybody chasing you and you fall into a snake pit while you're holding the medallion? Is anybody getting this reference? Is anybody getting this reference?
Is this Indiana Jones reference?
There you go. Frano's like, Ruth are really trying on that deep. One. So let's, and we can talk more about this off air.
Yeah, well, Ryan, what I want to start with is, since your last visit, I've completely lost track of hockey. But
sure,
I'm going to try to get. Florida is in it. Florida has moved on.
That's one
in the East. Are they all? Is everybody into the conference finals already?
Yeah, we're down to 4, and the first game of the conference finals is tonight. So we're locked and loaded here.
So we got Florida in the East, and who else?
Carolina,
right? I did know that. Florida, Carolina. Which I know it was Vegas and Edmonton, but I don't know who made it through.
Vegas beat out Edmonton, unfortunately.
Your pick for the champs.
My picks didn't pan out this year, and
then the Kraken lost to somebody.
Yeah, Dallas beat out
Dallas.
Kraken.
Well, there you go. So what a mixed bag of Dallas, Florida, Vegas, and Carolina.
Your traditional hockey markets,
all South markets. Yeah, it's crazy. And one little nugget before we get into it, the most recent winner of the Cup out of those 4 is the Carolina Hurricanes, who won in 2006. So Gonna be a pretty fresh champion. I actually could have said that last time I was on too. That was true for last round, but
And Vegas
yeah.
has never won.
No.
Obviously,
Florida
they're
has never
young.
won.
Florida has never won. And Dallas
won in 99 with Brett Hall's infamous goal or foot in the crease goal. So.
Right.
So can I ask you something before we get into actual hockey? And I don't know if you'll know this. Why did they end up putting the Carolina team in Raleigh and not Charlotte? Do you know by any chance?
I have no fucking clue.
Right, because I just looked out of curiosity. I didn't realize they're 2 hours and 45 minutes apart. Like it's a 3-hour drive, basically. I just think that's interesting, right? Like we're just gonna decide Raleigh. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look that up.
One, Andy.
Right, because I'm just saying Charlotte's a much bigger city.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, I'll do some internal research on my own. So what are the seedings here? So what do we have? Give me all 4 teams and what they were entering the playoffs.
Okay, so Carolina in the East, Carolina was a division winner, and Florida was the lowest wild card team in the East. And obviously, like they took out the greatest regular season team ever in the Bruins. So kind of a Miami Heat situation there with Florida going on a run as, the 8th seed. Like it's not 1 to 8 seeds anymore in hockey. Unfortunately, everyone wants it to go back to that, but it isn't. So that's that. And in the West, I believe Vegas had the best record in the West. So Vegas will be the home team in game 1 for that one against Dallas.
So we basically have right now in South Florida, we got 2, again, I know you said there's no seeds anymore, but you basically have 2 8 seeds riding the hot hand. 2 sports. That's pretty crazy if you think about it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I think it's
so who do you like? Like who do you like in each series?
Okay, Carolina, Florida. Florida obviously just rolling. Like they took out the Bruins, the best team ever. Then they took out my Leafs.
Sorry.
And, we didn't. I don't. Do we even want to get into that?
No, we can. If you want to.
It's really up to you.
Yeah.
I think I talked about it maybe between your appearances, but basically the hockey stuff that when the Rangers are in it, I was checking in on the games. Since they've been out, it's just kind of whatever comes across my various social media feeds. And I saw former Ranger, but also just former league-wide pain in the ass, Sean Avery, talking about, he was like, I'm glad that now Toronto gets Florida, because he essentially is like, Florida's going to butt fuck them. And I was like, well, that seems like it's kind of out of nowhere, but he was right.
Yeah. Sean Avery loves to hate on the Leafs. Like he's one of like the renowned Leafs haters on the internet. Going into that one, I thought that the Leafs matched up pretty well against the Panthers. They were 3-1 against them in the season. I think it just took this core of players too long to get out of the first round. And then when they finally did it, like I thought like, oh, maybe they can go on a run now. Like that first round curse, that mental stress is gone. But I think what wound up happening is they maybe got a bit too satisfied, too loose, and Florida's just, they weren't able to match Florida's intensity. And Florida's goalie, Sergei Bobrovsky, he's rolling right now. He stole game 5 for them, and it was too bad. I finally see my team advance, and then they go down 0-3 in the second round. It was kind of just a stinker.
The hot goalies.
Yeah. Bobrovsky. Is he related to Kyle Bobrovsky
from South Park?
Hey, I'm on it today, guys.
Ruther's pop culture puns are rocking and rolling today.
I'm catching all of them.
Completely ruining the show. So, and he also sounds like somebody who would put some vodka in his.
Oh yeah, very Russian. And
right.
There was a big running joke too on TSN, like Canada's version of ESPN, saying like when Bobrovsky first came into the NHL, they thought that his name kind of sounded like a loose cannon cop from like a buddy cop movie. So they'd be like, Bobrovsky, you're off the case. Hand in your badge and your gun. And then they'd show a highlight of him making a big save. Like, Bobrovsky, you're back on the case. So that's a little Canadian inside joke.
I was going to say, that's the most Canadian. Isn't that the most Canadian thing ever?
So Bobrovsky, he's kicking right now. So Panthers are rolling. But Carolina, I will say, they had a few key injuries going into this playoffs. They're getting one of their guys back, and they're just like, they dismantled the Islanders, they dismantled the Devils, and they're coached by Rod the Bod Brindamore. And Joe, you kind of asked me a coaching question last podcast, and I don't know like a ton about coaching, but Rod, like he was the captain of the Hurricanes when they won in 2006. He retired like 10-ish years ago, so like relatively recently. So I think he can like really relate to these players, and apparently the guys just love him. Like they're willing to do anything for him. And no disrespect to the Devils coach Lindy Ruff, but I don't think he might not be able to relate to his players as well as Rod. And he's just got them playing in this system of his that just works so well. They've got a really deep team. So I think I
base all my hockey knowledge, on NHL Hockey 94, NHLPA 94, as it was officially known. And I believe Rod Brindamore was a member of the Flyers on that game.
He was. Yeah.
Let's go. That's a pull, Andy.
Nice
that is
pull.
a pull. Yeah, why do they call Rod the Bod?
Because he's a mutant. Like he's like a gym freak, and like, oh man, like he one of the best Stanley Cup raises ever. If you look, like he looks like he's turning into the Hulk as he's raising the cup. It's awesome.
So you like Carolina in the East?
Yeah.
Let's move to the
that's
West.
What I'll say. I'll say Carolina in 6, and then on the West end, this is like really big toss up for me. I really like Dallas's their makeup of their team. A lot of homegrown players at every key position, including their goalie, who's one of the best bright young goalies in the league, Jake Onger.
Jake the Snake.
Yeah. But Vegas, 2 good Sasky boys. So you know how I feel about my Sasky boys. So,
well,
Chandler
Vegas,
Stevenson.
what a franchise Vegas has turned out to be in their very, very young existence. What how does that even happen? Is that just is that having good execs? Is that having good coaching? Is that just having a great expansion draft? They've come out hot and they haven't really missed a beat.
That's a great question. This is their fourth. This is their fourth Western Conference final in
5 years of 6 seasons.
This is their 6th. Yeah, and you mentioned coaching. This is they're on their 3rd coach now too. This is the 3rd time a coach has taken them to the Western Conference final in their first year coaching. So just, I don't know, man. Like in their first year, they picked just the right mix of guys that gelled together, and they had Marc-Andre Fleury, who played out of his mind in net and went to the final. And then ever since then, they've kind of been going all in, like making huge trades, huge free agent signings. They've kind of got a bit of a reputation as being a bit cutthroat now with, firing coaches and trading away guys.
I guess it seems like, to answer that question just based on the coaching changes alone, it seems like they have a pretty elite front office that believes in what they're doing, to the point where a team that's 6 years in existence and saying, well, if we don't win the cup, it's a failure, get this fucking coach out of here and move on. They must really believe in the talent that they have.
Yeah, I guess they just expect results, and they missed the playoffs last year, so they were canned Pete DeBoer, and now he's the coach of the Stars, who they're going up against. A little bit of a story
big. This is a big series for him.
Yeah. So this one's a complete toss-up. I don't really know where I'll just say maybe Dallas. I like Dallas's overall team maybe a bit better, and I'll give the slight edge in goaltending to Dallas. So say Dallas in 7, because why not?
I'm going to go Vegas because I believe these guys know. They got DeBoer out. They know what they're doing. I'm on Vegas. I'm on Vegas and Florida. I'm going against you on both.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
there.
I know nothing about hockey though, so I mean, no reason for anybody to listen to me.
Yeah, and like I said, Vegas has the 2 Sasky boys that I'll quickly shout out: Chandler Stevenson from Saskatoon and Braden McNabb from Davidson, who it was a town that my hometown would have played against. And that guy was he had like a 90-mile-an-hour slap shot when he was 12 years old. He was a freak. So kind of cool to see him doing so well now.
Speaking of Vegas, who is the Vegas favorite to win the cup right now? Do you know off the top of your head who is expected, at least odds-wise?
I don't actually off the top of my head. I would, maybe should have.
Looks like Bandy Andy might be typing over there.
Yeah. I'm on it here, guys. Let's figure this out. Let's see here.
Where's Trevor when you need him, eh?
Yeah, right.
You give like
Trevor's updating the page that Andy's checking at ESPN.com.
All right, so your odds on, I mean, there's no major favorites. I mean, that's according to Vegas. We got the Hurricanes at plus 200, Vegas at plus 240, Stars at plus 300, and the Panthers at plus 350.
Wow.
So it's a pretty highly contested race here. Now, like who do we want to see? You know, because I'm all about the storyline. Like, who do we want to see? Do we want to see Vegas get their first ever? Like have these other ones have all won a Stanley Cup, correct?
Florida hasn't.
Okay.
Yeah. Dallas was in the Cup final 3 years ago. I don't know what the bet, like Florida getting in as the last wildcard team and going on this run that they're going on would be a good story. Matthew Tkachuk is their best player. He's an MVP candidate. Son of Keith Tkachuk, Joe, who played on what team in the NHL 94?
The Flames?
The Blues?
The Jets. You were close. The Winnipeg Jets.
I knew it was a Canadian team.
Did he play for the Blues at one point, though?
Yeah, he did. He did later on. But he's a weapon. Just like a guy that any team would love to have. Like, he gets under other guys' skin. He's an agitator, but he also puts up big points. He hits and stuff. So he would be a good name to have in the finals.
I think Kachuckets were also a backyard game that was banned after a couple kids lost their eyes. You know? Do you remember the Kachucket?
Kachucket, is that like lawn darts or what? I know lawn darts aren't a thing anymore.
Yeah. We had to ban lawn darts. 2 kids died.
Too many people died.
I'm like, we played pickle in my backyard. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
The fuck is pickle?
You know pickle? Like caught in a pickle?
Yeah, gotcha. Like with baseball gloves, pickle.
Yeah, or you can
running with or a tennis ball, like running bases.
Yeah. A little pickle. You guys have pickle up in Canada?
I've never heard that before. Ever.
What did you do as kids in Canada? Well, like, what's going on in Saskatoon?
They have like a 14-day window where there's not snow on the ground to play lawn darts.
Well, I grew up in a small town called Lanigan, 1,200 people.
1,200 people.
That's a tough one to get on Bumble or Hinge. You're like, fuck, I just matched with Stacy again. Goddamn next door neighbor.
And my cousin.
I don't know. Like, we had a golf course, play street hockey, outdoor rink in the winter, play hockey. You know,
again, winter.
Guys love
many,
snowmobiling. You know, some
dog
kids
racing,
dirt bike. Yeah, dirt bike, dog racing. Maybe not so much that.
So,
you know,
like,
stuff like that.
do you have any personal? Obviously, your team's out, but do you have any personal rooting interest in any of these games or teams?
No, I haven't really thought of that yet. No, not really. I mean, yeah, maybe Vegas with the Saskatchewan guys. I don't think there's anyone from the east side unless I'm missing somebody really obvious, but maybe Vegas. Even though I haven't loved the way they've been pretty cutthroat running their team, but I mean, it's working. So
You'll be really cool if a team wins, you take the train down and pick up that Stanley Cup and then take it back to Saskatchewan.
oh yeah, that would be no problem, I'm sure.
So like, can we talk about the cup for a minute? Can we talk about the because
let's talk about the cup. I've drank out of it.
See, that's what I was going to ask. I'm fascinated by this. So you've drank. You probably already said this on the show, and I forget everything. So you've drank out of it.
Yeah.
How did this happen?
So in 2013, there was a guy from my hometown, Sheldon Brookbank. He was on the Blackhawks, and every player gets their day with the cup. So, you know, you see all these like extravagant, like, you know, players going out on the town with the cup, or, you know, out by the ocean or on a mountain with the cup, and, you know, taking the cup back to land against Saskatchewan. You know, we rent out the curling rink and just get buckled and drink out of it.
Wait, hold on. You get what?
You get buckled.
They cuck people. Everybody in Lanigan brings their wife to town, and the guy who won the cup gets to fuck your wife.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So yeah, you just like everyone gets to touch the cup, take pictures with the guy. I'm sure he took like 5,000 pictures that day. And
well, that's awesome, man. Like that, but seriously, like that's fucking awesome. So this guy comes back to your hometown.
Yeah.
And everybody gets to hang.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine like in New York, like everybody gets to touch the cup, like all.
I mean, it happens everywhere. Yeah, like you know, when the Rangers won the cup, it was around. You'd see it passing through town.
Like I didn't know. Like how did all this start? This is just I don't know. This is so cool. Like how did this tradition start? Has this been going on forever? I know about it, of course, and I
don't specifically know when the day with the cup for each player started, but pretty cool tradition. And and not just 2013, but in 2010 when Chicago won, there was a guy from a town 20 minutes over that was on the team, so we got to touch the cup and party with it there too.
But that's the thing.
I wonder if there's a strain of herpes that's directly related to the cup. Like a bunch of people drinking out of the same fucking cup.
It's Hannigan herpes. Yeah, you get the Hannigans. Ah, shit. But there's no other cooler tradition, I'd argue. Like from any other sport. You can't do, you know, the Lombardi, whatever. Yeah, I don't even know what the baseball trophy is.
Well, you can't pass that on. That thing's a fucking poke your eye out. It's
all those little flags.
Yeah, the baseball trophy looks like a torture device from Game of Thrones. They're like, I want Ned Stark's head on the baseball trophy. The fuck are you guys making a goddamn ninja star?
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ, just make it a fucking
golden
bat or something.
Yeah. Well, and I just love how like they give the
make it a medieval torture device, but also put a glove on it somewhere.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ryan, what were you saying?
I was just saying I love how they give the cup to the players. Like in other sports, you see them give it to the owners and stuff. In hockey, it kind of has that special tradition of, you know, handing it off to the captain and he's lifting it and then passing it off to all his teammates. And usually you pass it off to the guy who hasn't won one yet first, like Joe Sakic passing it to Ray Bork in 2001 and stuff like that. So you can't argue. Like, I know hockey isn't big for you guys, but you can't argue the Stanley Cup traditions are pretty special.
No, they're the best. I mean, I think we've discussed this, and I know there was a call, I think, at one point as far as the coolest trophies. And, you know, I think Joe just hit it home that baseball is the worst, but without a doubt, hockey's is the best. You know, I mean, that is such a cool tradition. And I never thought about that until you just pointed it out, that the owners are going to walk away. You know, oh, cool. Some billionaire gets another piece of jewelry, for lack of a better term. Whereas this one, you know, I think it kind of embodies the sport, right? Like, obviously these guys make millions, but, you know, you think more blue collar when you think hockey and the, you know, just kind of how the sport's played.
For the team, right? It's more, and I think it does kind of hurt hockey's popularity maybe a bit because they don't market the players as much. You don't have as much like big, you know, exciting personalities in hockey, which might kind of hurt its popularity among other things. But you know, it's just part of the culture, I guess. Is it's more for the team, you know.
Do you think your train could run on the Stanley Cup? Like, I'm sure, you know, like you know, you picture somebody shoving
flux capacitor, Andy. What the fuck are we talking about here?
Run on the Stanley Cup.
Andy's taking his love for the cup to fucking
like
next level. It's like, you think if you melted it down and poured it into the fucking thing that your train could run forever?
Back to the Future 6. Like, let's just create a new Back to the Future, man. So, Ryan, I'm sure you need to get some sleep.
We don't have enough gas. Don't worry, we don't need gas. We put Stanley Cups in now. In the future, this thing runs on Stanley Cups.
Any last things we should look out for in these conference finals?
I don't know about the conference finals, but I'll just quickly mention too, a big deal that happened was the Blackhawks won the draft lottery, so they'll have the right to pick Bedard. And much like the NBA lottery, a lot of people are saying that it was fixed and stuff like that. So
why are they saying it would be fixed for Chicago?
Well, a big market.
Yeah.
You know, kind of getting them back into relevancy after they've been bad, and also they had a huge scandal that came to light a couple of years ago. I don't know if you guys are aware of it. A sexual abuse scandal.
Right, there was a rape sexual abuse scandal. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So really bad look for the Blackhawks. They
bad move to name Jerry. I can't.
What the fuck?
I can't even get out of Jerry Sandusky choke. I swear, I'm fine today, guys. I'm trying to get out of Jerry Sandusky
joke. You asked me if train can run on the Stanley Cups. By the way.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know. Did you hear Coco Melon and all those kids shitting off?
God, Coco Melon is just...
I don't know if trains can run on the Stanley Cup, but I know Blackhawks can run the train. That's the one thing I know from their history.
So this is kind of a little conspiracy, or are we thinking like, are we buying into this at all?
Yeah, a lot of people seem to be like. The Blackhawks had the.
Who are the other teams that were really in the mix?
The Anaheim Ducks had the best odds, and then the Blue Jackets had the second best odds. Ain't no way Bettman was letting the Blue Jackets win the lottery. Like, that wouldn't have been good for the league.
The disrespect in the state of Ohio.
Yeah. Well, yeah, tell that to Gary. You know, not me.
Fucking Gary.
Yeah. So, yeah, and Blackhawks, I believe, had the third best odds to select number one. So yeah, their rebuild just got a fast forward button with that kid. So,
well, cool. Well, Ryan, it's always a pleasure. You gonna come back for the Stanley Cup Finals, or are we gonna?
Yeah,
back for this?
Hopefully, if I'm not on a train, you know, it's happened to work out every time because my schedule is super unpredictable.
How far do you travel on these trains?
Like the big mainline runs we go on are like 200 miles one way. I'm just on a little branch trip right now. That's not as far, 100 miles, but
got it.
Yeah. So
I'd love to see if we could do this while you're working. Can we make that happen on the train? How's the Wi-Fi?
Unfortunately, we can't have our phones or anything.
No, I figured.
I know.
He's too busy shoveling coal into the fucking thing.
Yeah. I'm too busy shoveling the Stanley Cup melted down into the. Into the
dude,
engine.
you gotta get a full conductor. I might just buy a conductor outfit and walk around Cincinnati and say I'm a train. Put like you know, they do the face paint for athletes. I might just claim that's coal. I just got off a train. Like, I might just become a train conductor in cosplay all the time.
You do you, man.
Well, Ryan,
Ohio, the only place that would appreciate that. They'd be like, yeah, bring back fucking coal. Everybody's like, Jesus Christ, Ohio, get over your fucking
yeah, man.
your love of coal,
I'll-
you weirdos.
I'll be a celebrity. Well, Ryan, it's always a pleasure, guys. Ryan is on Twitter at rklatt. That's 2 T's. That's KLATT 18. So if you got any questions, shoot them Ryan's way, especially if they're about running
Freight trains.
freight trains, running Stanley Cups. On some sort of train. I look. There's a lot of things that can be answered.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on again.
Great to see you, Ryan. Look forward to having you back in a couple weeks.
All right. Yeah. Stanley Cup final next. And yeah, stay dirty.
All right, Ryan. Take care, man.
I got to say, I'm excited. Andy, I'll be in Vegas next week. I got shows at the Comedy Cellar at the Rio May 29th to June 4th. So that should either be, I mean, it looks like that would be in the midst of probably the second half of a conference finals, or perhaps the start of a Stanley Cup final. So that's exciting.
Yeah, man. See if they can get you a comp for those.
Well, I assume with final conference or cup final games, I would assume that those would be in the evening.
Yeah, good point. You'd be working.
Coincide with that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, we're just now learning about this train stuff.
I know. I love Ryan's just like holding that back on us.
I mean, hockey's cool, but nah, you got a way cooler job, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I mean, again, I kind of want to go full cosplay now, be a train conductor. And
we're like, what do you do? He's like, oh, I didn't tell you. I lead wagon groups on the Oregon Trail, crossing get people through the Canadian Rockies to the coast. Oh, okay. How's it going? Oh, we had a couple of people die of dysentery, but
I knew a dude who walked the entire Appalachian Trail, like retired guy. The whole thing I think it starts in Georgia, obviously all the way up to the Northeast. He did the whole thing at like 65. I'm like, you did the whole thing? Like took him months. He said, I'm just gonna, obviously you do campsites and shit, but man, makes me feel like a piece of shit, huh? This guy's conducting trains. People are walking the Appalachian trails, and I'm like, yo, I gotta fucking get a kid to bed. I can barely do this.
Well, that's why you waited till he was retired, Andy.
Yeah, well, touche, Mr. Prano, touche. So the calls were not the best this week. I'm just gonna be honest, guys.
Fucking dirtballs.
Like, only one made the cut this episode.
One made the cut. Did we already play it?
No.
Okay.
We haven't played it. And also, I think dirtballs sometimes, which is fine, I don't blame you guys, maybe don't hear an episode and they'll want us to talk about something like John Morant, and it's like, well, we did 30 minutes on Monday. And stuff like that. So, but we do have a call about a discussion we had Monday, Doc Rivers, saying we missed the mark on the best Doc Rivers comparison.
Okay. Can't wait to hear this.
I don't know. Dirty Sports, don't know how you guys did not come up with this one. Doc Rivers is Mike McCarthy. Like, Mike McCarthy won one title, but nobody really respects him. I mean, people have more respect for Doc Rivers than they do Mike McCarthy. But the thing is, both of those coaches have had so many talented teams and have had so many choke jobs as well. Both have one ring as well. So, yeah, I think that Mike McCarthy is definitely Doc Rivers. And you're seeing it now with the Cowboys, too. Both talented teams, but I just don't see them going anywhere with him as the head coach. Another comparison, too, might be Marvin Lewis. I mean, it's a little bit different because Marvin Lewis never won a ring. He never even won a playoff game, I don't think. But also, he was coaching for the Bengals for so long, had so many talented teams, and was just a straight underachiever. But I think the best comparison is definitely Mike McCarthy. So yeah.
So I don't hate that. Like we've obviously,
I don't hate it. We've done a lot of this guy is Mike McCarthy.
yes,
We've done Doc Rivers is Dave Roberts.
we just did
which-
Budenholzer is Mike McCarthy.
Yeah. The thing about McCarthy, like Doc, again, I'm going to say this about Doc Rivers. He's been coaching since the 90s. He's on his fourth. How many teams did he coach? He coached the Magic, the Celtics, the Clippers, and the fucking Sixers. Like Mike McCarthy is 2 bad seasons away from getting fired from the Cowboys and never working again. Doc Rivers, like that's why I was saying there's almost no
Comparison.
when you look at guys who have just been like, there are people who were born when Doc Rivers started coaching, that are fucking full-on adults now with jobs and kids of their own. Like, the dude has been in 4 stops, and besides, obviously, the, again, utter disappointment that was his Boston tenure where he only gets the 1 title. There's 4 franchises.
Yeah,
over the 90s, the aughts, the 2010s. We're talking about in 4 decades.
So he actually started in 2000.
Okay. 99, 2000 season?
Yeah. So he's coached 23 seasons. And I want to just make sure as I go through it, 23 straight seasons. That's the thing. Like there was no, unless I'm missing something here, I'm just going through. There was no time off, guys. That's what's kind of remarkable about all of it.
Like Doc Rivers is Mike McCarthy. If Mike McCarthy gets fired, hired, and hired, and then probably fired and hired again. Like, I don't think we've seen the last of Doc Rivers.
No, we haven't. That famous meme or GIF of Doc Rivers, like, on the sideline,
Yeah.
like that's me every time he's hired. Like, why does this guy keep getting recycled? And that's the thing. Like the Marvin Lewis is the same. Marvin Lewis, I think, was with the Bengals for 15, 16 years. Didn't even win a playoff game. That was just, dude, you're the Bengals and they don't want to fire you because they're cheap. Like, I really don't think there's a comparison. And everybody was screaming that too. Dave Roberts, which we've said. But even how many World Series have the Dodgers at least been to with Dave Roberts?
Yeah, and he hasn't won any except the Mickey Mouse one, But again, Dave Roberts, like, yeah, in 25 more seasons, he's Doc Rivers.
Yeah, I know. It really is. Pretty crazy.
I mean, legitimately, in what, 17 more years?
Yeah, there's really no one to compare him to. Give us a ring, 310-359-8365.
I mean, Buck Showalter. He's had a long run, and he's had a lot of different teams. But he had breaks.
Yeah. True. The Bucks managed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams. But he's had a lot of breaks. So, I don't know. Give us a ring. Chime in with your thoughts. And while you're doing that, drink some Miller Lite.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Andy, I was just thinking about this the other day. So I was hanging out with a buddy, and I went to a bar, and I ordered a Miller Lite, and he was like, absolutely, 2 Miller Lites. And I was sitting there, and I realized something. Like, I judge my friends on a lot of things, but it's almost essentially impossible for you to crack top tier if you're not a Miller Lite guy. like the elite of the elite, my elite friends drink Miller Lite with me. Now, there's people out there who don't drink. Sure, I get it. But if you go to the bar with me and you just order some other thing, just like immediately I'm just like, you're not going to be in my tight, you're not going to be in the circle of trust.
Yeah.
A Miller Lite is the key to unlocking the circle of trust.
Well, it is grill season, right? Like we're in grill season. Let's call it what it is.
Grill season. So grill season.
And Miller Lite and grill season, they go hand in hand. So we have the Memorial Day holiday coming up. Summer is basically here. When you're flipping those burgers, cooking that steak, nothing will go better with that than a nice cold tasting Miller Lite.
Andy, our good friends at Miller Lite have sent us some Miller Lite over the last few years. And it's lovely because when people come hang out at my place, they know they bring some Miller Lites. I'll pick up some Miller Lites when I get low. Every once in a while, Miller Lite will arrive in the mail. Just the other day, for the first time, at least since I've been living in my current place, which is 6-7 months, for the first time, I went into the fridge and there was not a Miller Lite in there. And it was like a panic attack. Like it was a borderline panic attack. I was like, oh my God. Like, how did I was like, I gotta go. Went out, got myself some Miller Lite. Just like that to me is like, that's the definition of security in my life. Just always knowing I have a cold Miller Lite to crack.
Well, the great news is you could also have it delivered, guys. That's what's great. You don't have to leave your house.
That's what I should have done, Andy. Remind me how I do that again.
Well, Joe, it's really simple. You just go to MillerLite.com/dirty sports. Guys, Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories, taste like Miller time. And if you want to get Miller Lite delivered right to your door,
I do.
Simply visit MillerLite.com/dirty sports, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. There it is on the screen. Just go to MillerLite.com/dirty sports. You have that delivered right to your house because, like I said, next weekend is a holiday. We're already here. Pool season, grill season.
Memorial Day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Miller Lite season. It's all here, man. It's creeping up on us, right?
Yeah. Andy, I feel like your body language tells me that you're getting ready to wrap this up. But we haven't talked NBA draft lottery. Ryan.
No. Let's keep talking.
Ryan nudged us with a draft conspiracy. But the huge news in the NBA,
Spurs.
The San Antonio Spurs, Greg Popovich, for the second time in his coaching career, gets an elite blue chip, universally considered sure thing guy, big man, obviously a very different big man from Tim Duncan, in Wembanyama. I wanted to talk about this for one reason.
Love hibachi, by the way. Great hibachi place.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about this for a couple reasons, but one is something in my brain told me like we had an Andy Ruther like gonna be a bust hot take coming. I don't want to put that on you, but I feel like
I don't know enough about him to have a take.
He's 7'5". He shoots threes in a international game, or in a game, not an international game, but a game that happened internationally this year. He missed a three and followed his own three with a dunk. Some people think that he will be an elite NBA player within the first few seasons in the NBA. Do you like this for the NBA, him to the Spurs?
I forget, what were the other draft options?
Well, Charlotte was in the mix.
Yeah, forget them.
That obviously would have been a sort of modern day Lob City pairing of LaMelo and Wemby. Who else was in the mix? Portland was once again in the mix, which as much as we all love Dame and as much as I love Portland, it's like, we don't need Portland ruining some other guy's life. Like, there's just, you get drafted high for Portland, your legs are going to fall off. Like, there's a hospital that was built just on Greg Oden and Brandon Roy's lower half surgeries, which has to be the fear. Obviously, the crazy thing about this guy is so unbelievably tall. It seems like it always comes with leg and foot ailments.
Well, Chet had it this year,
right?
Holmgren.
Yeah, but everybody kind of hopeful. Seems like a good, certainly fit for him. An elite coach, a guy who's used to working with foreign players.
Yes,
a guy who's used to working with, young talent, elite big men. Like, he's certainly obviously a very, very different game than Duncan. But you got to think you got to think Tim Duncan's going to show up to training camp at some point. You got to think Tony Parker's about to be hired as an assistant coach.
Well, I would say that it's a great fit for any foreign player because it's obviously worked with all those foreign players, and the system that Popovich runs in San Antonio clearly works. And, another great player to the West, or, potentially great player to the West.
Tell me if you like, I don't want to like make a hot take here, but tell me if you think if this take is how spicy a chicken wing is this take? But I think that there's a little bit. I'm a big Popovich fan. I love Popovich. I think he's a great coach. Absolutely. But it is hard to judge guys. It's hard to judge the Phil Jacksons of the world when they only won with elite players. We can look at Greg Popovich, but his career success is essentially entirely tied to Tim Duncan. Obviously, they continue to be good even as Tim Duncan's career waned, but like the Patriots continue to be good even as Tom Brady's career went. Like we've seen this before. Is there some part of Wemby to the Spurs where at this point, guys, elite players like that, they come in and they're not necessarily like, we've seen incredibly hyped talents be busts before. Is there some part of this where it's like, we got to see Pop do it again? Like everybody's kind of assuming they're going to do it again. Everybody's kind of assuming they're going to be good right away. Is there some part of it where it's like, you almost, for Pop's legacy as like maybe the greatest coach of all time, we have to see him do that right away?
You always say you can't hurt your legacy, right?
Absolutely. But I think, does it kind of like make it right now? I think it would be, there's a lot of people who say, oh, this coach, that coach. Like Greg Popovich isn't the Bill Belichick of NBA coaches, right?
No,
like,
look, but here's the thing. He's been able to, obviously he's had great players, but it's also like Tim Duncan was obviously the rock on that, the staple, but Parker was a late first round pick. Ginobili's a second round pick. I'm saying he's not doing it with stud after stud. What was Kawhi before the Spurs? Let's just keep it real. Like these guys have flourished in that system.
Absolutely.
So my argument, I don't think he would need. I would say no, he doesn't need to. That's just my point of view. I didn't realize he was 7'5". I knew he was 7 foot. Like that's
7'5", shooting threes. Like the thing that's crazy about it is like 12 years ago or 10 years ago, you would look at a guy like that and you'd be like, absolute bust.
Yeah, Sean Bradley.
But even just like in the style of play, but now it's like with the size that he's super skinny, but obviously he's super young. But it's like Kevin Durant's kind of like what he was, 12 years ago or whatever. It's like, you're like, he's a 7 foot tall, super skinny shooting guard.
Yeah.
I don't know if that fucking translates.
Sure.
Now, unfortunately, we didn't have this podcast at the time, but I was just like, Greg Oden, that was when I casually watched college basketball, and I was like, we're taking this Greg Oden dude over this Kevin Durant dude? This Kevin Durant dude's like a fucking elite scorer, and this Greg Oden dude's like not dominating at Ohio State. So I saw that one, but it's also like, oh, but does this translate? And obviously it does. And I mean, it is some video game shit. It's like when you were like, oh, I'm going to design a player and he's going to be 7'5", but he's also going to bang threes. Like, it's pretty awesome. And I think the thing with Popovich and him going to the Spurs, why I like this is I want him to be good. And I don't think Greg Popovich makes him good, but I think that there's plenty of places where he could go and they could squander the talent. We've talked a lot about, I mean, obviously Tom Brady was not a freak talent out of college and whatever, but I've said it before, it almost feels like Tom Brady had gone to the Browns. He would, he'd be Brady Quinn.
Yeah.
This guy is a freak talent, but you'd hate to see him kind of end up on a Charlotte and then just 100%. Be out of fucking basketball in 5 years. And you're like, they've done it again.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's obviously the right fit. Definitely don't want to see anybody go to Charlotte. Maybe they'll get better after Jordan sells the team, but it's like a barren waste of talent or just bad picks. I think that's what it's going to be. It's going to boil down to injury, right? If he's supposed to be that good, it's can he stay on the court? I don't know, but obviously,
can I throw one other basketball nugget at you before we go? I know it's a little early in this with the lottery just happening and the draft isn't, like for a minute, but the Knicks are in a situation here where New Yorkers are pulling down Julius Randle posters and pissing on them, and Warriors fans are burning voodoo dolls of Jordan Poole. Like, should they be traded for each other as the soonest possible chance that they're given? Like, why are those two? Why is that not just something that's already accepted?
Why do you think Jordan Poole's gonna? Why would you think he? And I liked him. Why do you think he would flourish in New York?
Oh, I don't necessarily think he would flourish, but I think it's two guys with talent, with big contracts, whose teams, cities, fans, franchises, teammates, coaches just like, we're done with this guy.
Yeah.
And if there wasn't like mirror images, if there wasn't pointing Spider-Man meme across the country, you'd be like, who takes the chance on this guy versus who takes the chance on this guy? It's like I to me, it's like the way we're talking about, like we just talked about Wemby to the Spurs, like it's already happened and it hasn't. And obviously, but it's like, it's going to, right? There's 100% chance they're not going to go and draft fucking, whoever the fuck else is coming out of college. They're going to draft this kid. Why is it not already like locked and loaded? Like Julius Randle's going for Jordan Poole, like immediately. To me, it's kind of crazy. Like, let's just do this.
Well, I don't know how those pieces would fit though for each team though. That's why.
Well, the way the pieces would fit right now is guys would come back to their teams that the teams don't want to come back, and they would be forced to play them, and the fans would be boycotting. I mean, there's talk of Jordan Poole is essentially benched in that series.
Yeah, but I mean, people are heated now, but how that stuff simmers down.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's a good chance if New Yorkers are burning his poster by September, they'll be back on board.
I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Like, what do you see? Like a couple social media things of people burning Julius Randle's poster.
No, I mean, it was, they like pulled down a poster outside Madison Square Garden and were stomping on it post game.
But I mean, that's like a reaction, right? I mean, how many jerseys have been burnt? we've seen over the years. I don't know. I think you're in your head, you're just hoping that happens.
Yeah, and I feel like I could sign Golden State fans up for it right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, around the draft, a lot will happen. There'll be a lot of movements. I'd assume they'd try to shake up both those players and the rosters, try to get something new. But who fucking knows, man? I think you should go hop in a forum and, you know.
Well, that was the closest I ever did to hopping in a forum today. I just put in on the internet Jordan Poole, Julius Randle trade just to see if anybody was talking about it. I was like, has this already been just like is this already like a thing? Like, has The Athletic already written an article like the trade that we all know is going to happen? But no, I mean, there's people that are saying it, but it's not like this is going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if you went into the Knicks,
but the reason I kind of brought it up is there's a lot of talk around the draft and whatever, like, oh, you know, with Pop and with this kid, like, are they going to try to fucking compete right away? And if so, what kind of move do they make? Do they try to go get some piece that doesn't work and fit in? Like, oh man, Jordan Poole's out there and blah, blah. And it's like, so, you know, I'm already thinking about potential moves and how they relate to my team.
well, I'm going to become a train conductor. That's what I'm thinking about. Going to make it official. This is my last podcast right now. Going to sign up.
Isn't Ohio where trains are like literally derailing and like poisoning the whole environment? Shit?
Yeah. So they need help. That's what that says. They need a guy, an outsider.
Yeah.
On the outside.
This is essentially the Jordan Poole for Julius Randle trade. They're like, the last guy killed 100 square miles of trees and nature. Maybe we just go straight up for Andy Ruther. They're like, you can't be worse than that guy.
Dude, the whole time, if I was a train conductor, the entire time I'd be on the train. I'd just be playing, come on, ride a train and ride a choo-choo. You know, Quad City DJs. That's a fun go-to at a wedding, huh?
I just want to be a New York City subway conductor so that I can come over the thing and be like, stay clear of the closing doors, please. Bing bong.
The chick from
That's every fucking
yeah.
That's every New York City.
The teacher
speaker.
sounds like the teacher from Charlie Brown.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
I was talking to somebody yesterday who had visited Japan, and I was like, aren't they like, it's not like New York, right? They're like all quiet. She's like, oh yeah. They're like all quiet in the subway there. It's just like everyone's so different and everyone's so relaxed. And then I started thinking of Yoshi.
Just coming in karate kicking people.
No, I just thought of like how calm he was, but she was also saying like Japanese culture was like, she's like, when they get in their house, there's such a quiet, everything is a process and it's soothing and relaxing. But then like the minute you get outside, like we gotta get to work. It's just like chaos. You know, like everybody's driving. It's just nuts. Anyway, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Follow us on social media. That's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
The Dirty Sports. I'm at Andy Ruther. Joe is on MySpace.
Nope. I'm not on MySpace, Andy, but I am.
Are you sure?
I am sure.
No, for real. Sure. Do you have MySpace?
I do not.
Did you delete it?
I'm like,
no, I'm being dead serious. Like I deleted mine. Like some people just kept theirs and it's just up, I think.
I actually didn't. I didn't really have a MySpace originally. Okay. I think I did get into them. I think I did try to fuck with a MySpace, like when they brought it back, when Justin Timberlake brought it back, but I think it's got to be gone now. Okay. Is MySpace even active?
I'm pulling it up.
I can't imagine it is. I am at Joe Prano on Instagram. I'm at Joe Prano on TikTok. I'm on Substack, joeprano.com. substack.com. You can subscribe to me there. Shout out to all the people. Shout out to the folks who put it on the Reddit. The free subscribers. Double shout out to the people who are paid subscribers. Get content coming your way this week. And I will be doing some shows coming to Stamford, Connecticut, June 7th, Wednesday, June 7th. Tickets are on sale now. I put that on all my Instagram. If you click on the shows highlight thing, tickets in there. So yeah, come to that if you're in the tri-state area. I'll have other shows lined up for New York when I'm there. Like I said, I'm in Vegas the 29th to the 4th. Got shows in and around LA, and shows that I'll be announcing soon in other places. So joeprano.com/shows. See if I'm coming to your town.
MySpace is still a thing, but it's real confusing when you pull it up on your desktop. Anyway, that's fascinating. Yeah, I think that's it, guys. I think we covered it. Shout out to Ryan for coming on again, especially after a late night on the train. We'll be back on Monday, but as a quick reminder, we are calling the game live, Lakers Nuggets, Saturday night, 8:30 Eastern time. I believe that game is on ESPN. So live broadcast, we'll be doing it. So tune in. All right, guys, that's our show. Thanks for sticking with us. Hopefully we'll hear you on Saturday. See you on Saturday. All right, have a great weekend. And as always, stay dirty.